Okay, I
We are
guess we're
live.
live. Hi everyone, welcome to the PMaxStellar. Here today we'll be talking a lot about, as the name suggests, Performance Max campaign. We'll be talking about the initiation of the Performance Max campaign, touch basing on the basics and the fundamentals of the Performance Max campaigns, and then in the later stages we'll be growing through a lot of marketing objectives. That being said, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Vinay, and alongside me, I have Shashank, who will be a co host today. Over to you, Shashank, for the quick introduction.
So, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining our stellar session today. I'm Shashank Srivastava. I've been associated with the edtech industry for almost 10 years now, and I'll be today facilitating the first half of the presentation, and for the remaining, my co-facilitator Vinay would take it up. So, I think Vinay, I'll start from here, and I'll call you in once we start with your part. So as it, we'll today cover the following agenda items. So we'll cover the introduction to the Performance Max campaign, then we'll talk about multiple marketing objectives in PMax, and then we'll quickly cover optimization and insights of a PMax, of a successful PMax campaign. In addition to this, we'll also talk about feed optimizations and best practices for a PMax retail. So having said that, let's start with what exactly a PMax campaign is and why there is so much fuss about this campaign variant. So talking about the customer journey and trends, they have changed a lot in the past few years. Like let's say 5 years ago and 10 years ago, there were a lot of users who used to go to the offline markets, search for the products that they are looking for, purchase it from there. There was just like 20, 30 online interaction. However, in the last 5 to 7 years, we have seen a boom in the e-commerce segment and especially the online one. So as you can see on the screen, customer journey has now, it's now like moving targets. It has completely changed. There are people who are going through 5+ channels in a 2-day period to make a purchase that they want to. Like based on this researches that we have done in the past, almost 61% users have actually agreed that they refer to various websites, various channels before they finalize their purchase. And that's one of the reasons why PMax is so important. And we'll elaborate this more in our subsequent slides. Talking about this one, almost 25% users have confirmed that they were not looking for the product. However, they purchased it out of impulse. Now, what does that mean? So let's say there was a user in the market who is just fine with whatever he has. However, he comes across a fancy watch, or maybe let's say an Apple AirPod, and he just feels that yeah, okay, maybe this is something that I should go for, and especially when there is an ongoing discount running on it. So that user, irrespective of his choice of not being an in-market audience, he still ends up purchasing that product. So that comes under impulse shopping. Like he was not looking for the product, still he ended up purchasing it. So this is why we can have a combination of different campaign types to generate that demand, and PMax is the one that tops the list in this category. Talking about PMax, so what is PMax campaign type? So actually, this is a Google AI-driven initiative that allows you to connect, allows you as a brand to connect with various users across different Google surfaces. Now, this means that with this one campaign type, you can impactfully target different channels, different inventories, be it shopping, be it Gmail, be it Google Search, YouTube Discover, Display, or even Google Maps. So let's say if you're using a PMax setup in your account structure, and if there is a user who is looking for directions for a store, for a certain brand store, and you have selected leads or footfall as your campaign goal, there's a high chance that your campaign might start targeting that customer and he might end up seeing your ad, and ultimately you might gain a footfall which will lead to some offline sales. So that's how this campaign is. It's like pretty impactful. It tries to target different users, the ones who are looking for your product, the ones who might be interested but are not looking for your product, and at the same time tries to increase your customer base and overall market revenue by increasing the number of targets that it's getting on at each point of time. Now, uh, why Performance Max is so important? So it's actually it tries to maximize your business goals. So say you have an e-commerce brand and you want to increase your product sales online. You want to target as many consumers as possible, grow your product revenue. That's, say, a latest product launch in the market, and you just want to grow its revenue. And if you have online sales registered as the campaign goal, it will try to automatically start targeting those users who might be interested in the product, who might be looking for it, or even those users who are not looking for it but might be interested. And this way it will start increasing, optimizing your business goal, start increasing your overall uh, revenue for that particular product. It's again a fully automated campaign. So like in Google search, you have to add a list of keywords, but say if you're talking about PMax, it's entirely automated. You can give it search themes. It will utilize those search themes to feed um, a certain level of information to the backend audiences, and will try to leverage on that data to create a customer base for you. However, if you want, you can even run your campaign without search themes or audience signals. Though feeding this information helps your campaign learn more quickly and start targeting more relevant audience subsets and increase your customer base and overall your conversions that you can get for that particular product. It's a cross inventory product. So cross inventory means with this one campaign type, you can fulfill the need of targeting different channels in your Google ad structure. For example, if you want your products to be shown on YouTube, if you want your products to be shown on display or on search or maybe on shopping, you can achieve all of that with this just one campaign type. Now that means that you can leverage this one campaign type for most of your products to target all the networks, or you can use this as a part of your strategic initiative to target like most of the channels for some specific subset of products to grow their market and then get to other products in the list. Last but not the least, it's a visual forward campaign structure. So what does that mean? So if we talk about search ads, it's mostly text shown on the Google search console whenever someone is searching for it. However, with this campaign type, you can upload a number of images, videos. In addition to it, you can upload text, HTML5 assets, and it will try to create a custom combination of the creatives that you've added to create the best possible possible ad that could be liked by most of your audience, and they end up clicking on it. And once you get that click, there's a high chance, high potential that the click might turn into a conversion over time or maybe there and then. So this is a visually forward campaign and tries to capture your market. Talking about why try Performance Max. So it's been a while since this campaign type has been launched. And if you look at the stats on the screen, soon after its launch, people who used this campaign variant were achieved a 13% uplift in their account's performance. In the year 2022, that improvement further grew to 18%. And in the year 2024, people have actually agreed that with the use of this Performance Max campaign type, their overall revenue grew by 27%, which is a very huge hike in compare compared to the standard account structures wherein you avoid using Performance Max as a campaign type. Now, how Performance Max uses Google AI for what reasons? So, firstly, it tries to increase your customer base. It leverages the AI signals. So, for example, you're using a Performance Max in your account structure, and you're selling shoes. And then you have added certain search themes that refer to shoes, say leather shoes or trendy sneakers or something like that. So it tries, with that information, it tries to understand what exactly your target product is, and based on that information it tries to identify your target customer, and then it leverages that information to increase your customer base so that you can gain more and more relevant consumers who might turn into customers over time. Having said that, it also tries to multiply your conversions and conversion value. So once you start getting more and more conversions, this campaign type actually tries to uplift that conversion value and conversion volume so that your business can grow further. It also, you have with this one campaign type, you can get a lot of information as which like what users are interacting with your campaign, like which age segment, um, uh, what demographics is converting more, what demographics is converting less. You can actually go to the insights page, and there it will give you a lot of information based on your campaign's journey so far, and you can actually leverage that information to tweak your initial strategy with which you started, and gain more and more customer base and conversion volume over time. So I would just like to take a pause here and mention that if you have any questions, feel free to mention them in the chat section, and my co-facilitator will try to answer them as soon as possible. Or once I'm done with my part of section, I'll just take it up. So please feel free to drop your questions. Now we'll talk about performance max targeting and goals that you can select while creating your campaigns within your account structure. So Performance Max has different goals which should be aligned with your marketing objective. For example, say I have an e-commerce brand, I'm selling leather bags online. So I can use online sales as my campaign goal. I can use online purchase, in-app purchase. I can use these sub goals to give signals to my algorithms that what exactly I'm looking for, what type of customers would be the best fit for my product, and where exactly to trigger my ads. If say I have a service industry, I'm providing some kind of service, so I should go with lead generation as my campaign goal, and that will help the audience to understand that I'm not looking for immediate purchasers, rather I'm providing some sort of service, and I need people who should give me a call or sign up on my website or fill in the lead form. So it will try to optimize those kind of actions for you. Now say I have a store, though even though I have a website, but I want to increase the footfall on my store, like I want more and more consumers, I can choose store visits as my goal. And based on that, system will try to optimize the overall targeting and show ads to those users more frequently who are store visitors. For example, people who are searching for some directions on Google Maps, my ads might start popping up there, and it will start showing them the ads for my store location. If they like the product, if they like the description being shown there, there's a high chance that they might start driving to my location, which will increase my store's footfall. And that's how this will optimize the overall consumer journey, and in a way it will try to uplift my consumer base and the number of conversions that I'm achieving over time. Now, in the PMax structure, it's irrespective, like other than the initial setup, there is an additional option which can be very well used by businesses to improve their customer base and uh, get better cost per acquisition. For example, the new customer only mode. So new customer only mode can be used by businesses who have, say, limited budget, like who have a limit on their budget, and within that budget, they are trying to get maximum customer acquisition. So they are into the service industry. They want to increase their customer acquisition, but have a cap on the budget. So they can use new customer only mode. With this, we try to feed information to the algorithms that we need to increase our customer base. However, we just want to target users who are, say, first time visitors or who haven't signed up for a business in the past. And the studies say that with the use of this mode in the past, the, the ratio of new customers signing up to the business has gone up by 13%, and the cost of new customer acquisition gone down by 19%. Now, 19% is a big amount. For example, you're spending, say, $1,000 for one for getting several users, for acquiring several users. Now you have to pay $190 less to get the same number of users to sign up to your business. So it's actually a big amount based on what, and you can leverage this option based on your consumer goals or your business strategic goals that you're aiming for. Now, we there is a you can provide more power to your strategic initiative with this one campaign type. Why? Because it's cross inventory. So, for instance, you are using Google search, or say you're using Google display campaign type. With these campaign types, you're just targeting one network. Now, as I explained in my previous slides, there's a high chance that you can come across an impulse buyer. Now, problem with impulse buyers is they are not actually searching for your product. So they might be interested in purchasing your product. They might have the bank balance to go for it. However, at that point of time, they are not actively searching for it. Now, if say you have a Google search campaign running to advertise for your products, there's a high chance that you might miss out on those users. However, with PMax campaign type, you can cover cross channel inventory. For example, with this one campaign type, you can show your ads on Google search. At the same time, you can cover Google display, discover inventory. You can show your ads on YouTube videos. So this way you are covering all the platforms, all the channels available. And say if there's a high chance that those users who are not actively searching for your product on Google search might come across your display creatives, your display ads, or say your video ads on YouTube channel when they are surfing over there. And then from there, they can get converted. So that's how it tries to improve the scope of showing ads to your end users, targeting your end users, and getting more and more conversions for your business. Now, having said that, agencies can strategically steer Performance Max with high quality inputs and optimizations. Now, what does that mean? So, you need to supply right bidding amount to your campaigns for it to expand on your consumer base and get more and more consumers attached to the business. Trying to put that in simpler words. So, say you have again a lead specific business, you're providing service in, say, New Jersey, in a certain area of New Jersey. Now, you have seen that when you spend $1,000 on your ad campaign, you end up getting 10 signups. That means that there's $100 per sign up cost. And you have your campaign running for a good duration. So you can start providing targets to your bidding strategy. For example, from rather than using maximize conversions, you can switch to target CPA and give a target to the system, say $90 or $80 per customer acquisition. So it will enable the system to understand that, yeah, now you are in that phase where you want to bring the cost down, and it will improvise your targeting. It will try to target those users who are more and more interested in going ahead with your service, the service that you're providing. And this way it will help your ads to participate in only in those auctions wherein there is a high probability for users to convert or end up filling your sign up forms. So this way it will start bringing down your cost per acquisition, and slowly over time you can see that when you gave a target to say $80 to the system, your average cost per acquisition will start dropping from $100 to $95, then 90, then 85, and ultimately it will drop to $80. So this way you can optimize your campaign structure by providing the right bidding amounts. Then again, the most important part of your campaign structure is the campaign goal, because that helps in for the algorithms to understand what exactly you're aiming for. So again, say you have an e-commerce website, you have an e-commerce store as well. Now your goal is to increase the footfall on the storefront. However, you have chosen sales as your campaign goal. A system will never get to know that you're actually looking for footfall. It will start optimizing your ads more and more so that your online revenue could be improved. However, the footfall on your store front might improve, but not to that extent that you might be expecting with this campaign structure. So it's always very essential to choose the right campaign goal. Then next part is budgeting. So there was a tool named Performance Planner which you can leverage to understand how much would be the adequate amount to use as a budget for your campaign structure based on what targeting you are aiming for, what CPA cost you are looking at. So you can use Performance Planner to understand how much you should be bidding or how much you should be spending on your campaign on a day-to-day basis. Why? Because say if your campaign can perform to its full strength on or say $1,000 daily budget. However, you're just putting in $500. So even with some core optimizations happening in the backend, system might still miss out on a lot of impression share, be it on Google, be it on shopping, and that will impact your overall campaign's performance. So having the right budget in place is actually a very important thing. Talking about measurement and data. So in the insights tab on your campaign, you can use the information, you can leverage the information available to see what is performing for you, what is not performing for you, how much you have invested where, and the results were not achieved as per expectation. And you can make those optimization changes. Like you can use this data to understand what would be the right audience targeting, what would be the right budgeting, what would be the right bid strategy or target CPA goals. You can have the same setup in your campaign to help it go further and further to get more and more conversions and get more and more consumers over time. Talking about creatives and feeds. So creatives again are a very important part of your ad structure or of your campaign structure. Why? Because creatives actually provoke users to click on your ads and go to your website and end up purchasing goods. For example, say again you're into e-commerce industry and you are selling say leather bags, but you have a very generic bag image being used as a creative. So you might still get footfall, you might still get users clicking on your ads, but CTR would be quite low. However, if you're showing some impactful imagery like some uh, great images, some new trends, some trendy bags, and if you're having some impactful videos in regards with the same, the CTR will definitely be uplifted from when you were using some generic images. So having right creatives is also very important and very impactful. Talking about feeds, so you can very well attach your merchant center feeds with your campaign structure to optimize the ad copies which are being shown to your end users more and more. So as you know, in your feeds, you can provide a lot of information which the system can then leverage on to create different variants of ad copies and see which one works the best and accordingly target customers with the best performing ad copy and give you better results. Insights. So insights are again on the insights tab. You can get a list. You can come across a list of insights about your campaign structure, campaign flow, the way it's converting users over time, and you can leverage that information to make optimization changes. Or even if you're not wanting to make any sudden optimization changes, you can use that information in your long-term strategic initiatives to see how your campaign's performance can grow over time. Now we'll talk about the ads power pairing. So what is ads power pairing? Uh, Whenever you have a search campaign in place and whenever users are searching for any of your keywords, your ads might get triggered. But then, though, if those users are available on other network types, they might not come across your ads because you're targeting only search. So you can always use a combination of Google search and Performance Max to cover all inventories. Like with Google search, you can cover most part of the search queries triggering ads. And for the users, for the same users, when available on different networks, you can use a PMax campaign structure to cover those networks as well with your ad copies, with the best performing versions of your ad copies, so that you can across the same user several times on different networks, which will ultimately help you uplift your conversions or across that users will help you increase your customer base. So now talking about how to start with a PMax campaign. So here we'll be quickly discussing the steps involved in creating the entire PMax structure. So the very first step involves choosing the right goal, as I have been explaining in the past few slides. Choosing the right goal of your business is very essential because it feeds a type of information to the backend algorithms to help them understand what exactly you're aiming for. Then you need to choose Performance Max as your campaign type. Then you need to determine a bid and a budget also the bidding strategy, like what exactly you're aiming for. Do you need more and more conversions? Or if you're running the campaigns in your account for a while already, you have a defined audience list. Now you want to aim for a certain target CPA. So you can do that kind of setting in your campaign structure. Once done with that, you can do some additional campaign settings. Now, additional campaign settings involve choosing the geographies where you want to target your ads. For example, if that's an e-commerce business, you can target multiple geographies. However, if that's something from the service industry, you should always be targeting a city or a region wherein you can effectively provide your service. Once done with that, next part is talking about asset groups and inputting audience signals. So if you just create a PMax setup, let it go live, it might still give you good results. However, it might take a while for the algorithm to understand what exactly it should be targeting for your with your ad copies, what user set it should be targeting to get maximum conversions and conversion value. Rather, if you help the algorithm with, say, 25 search themes to help it understand what exactly you want to target, what kind of searches you want to target, then if you supply it with a list of audiences to understand what would be the right fit of users for your product, then you can help the campaigns work more and more effectively and getting more and more conversions in shorter periods. Last but not the least is ad extensions. So again, extensions are a very important part of campaign setup, campaign structure. Why? Because they help you provide more and more information to your end users. If you have impactful extensions in place, say site links, and because if you're into the service industry, having testimonials shown out along with your ad copies always create an impact. Say you're not using site links at all. So there's a high chance that people who are even dropping on your website might not come across those testimonials. So it's very wise to have a site link of testimonials attached with your ad copies, with your campaign setup. So whenever your ad gets triggered, say on Google search, a testimonial link might get shown by site. When people land on it, they might come across some great testimonials available on your web page. This will increase the user trust. So again, having extensions, providing as much relevant information with your ad copies is very important. Now, what's needed to launch a successful Performance Max campaign? So again, choosing the right conversion goals, choosing the right bidding strategy. If you're going for target CP or target ROAS, then giving some right targets to the campaign is very important. Once done with that, you should be setting up asset groups wherein you can feed some essential information as in audiences, search themes to your asset groups to help the system understand what type of users you want to target. Then talking about the ad assets, you should have maximum images, videos. Like if we talk about YouTube videos that you are adding to your campaign structure, you should have 5 videos, two horizontal, two vertical, one square, so that you can cover all placements. Then you should have at least 15 images, impactful logos, so that you can gain that customer trust. Customer trust ultimately gives you more and more conversions. Once done with that, you should be attaching say you have an e-commerce business, so you should be definitely attaching a GMC feed to your campaign structure, because that gives a little more leverage to the system to make different combination of your ad copies, see what information is working for you, what information is not working for you, and ultimately create some best ad copy variants to be shown to your end users. And then URL expansion. So URL expansion is also a very important feature of PMax, which helps your users to land to the right page for whatever product they are looking for. And this helps you secure more and more conversions. Now, talking about what kind of assets or images or what logos you should be having on your in your ad copies. So you should be having minimum 15 headlines of less than 30 characters. You should have 5 description lines, one long headline, uh, all relevant, talking about the products that you're providing or services that you're providing. Images, there should be up, you can add up to 20 images. Again, please try to add all image variants, all image sizes, so that you can cover maximum slots. For example, there should be 5 600 into 314 landscape images, then 5 300 by 300 square images. This is just to make sure that you have some impactful product images added to your campaign structure, and you're showing your ads in all the available slots on different display networks, so that whenever your users are there, you're showing your ad, and that could lead to some great conversions. Talking about videos, so you can add up to you can add minimum 3 videos there: one square, one landscape, one portrait, and one square, so that you can again cover all the video placements. Talking about logos, so you should have at least 2 logos, one by one and one four by one dimension. So this again is something that can generate some level of trust in your end users, because we have seen that if their ads shown without a logo, the CTR, the customer trust, usually stays low, and as a result, the CTR gets impacted. However, if you have your business logo attached to it, and if it's getting popped up with your ad copy, there's a user trust that gets generated about the business, and that helps you gain more and more clicks, which ultimately gives you more and more conversions. Now, once you're done with the PMax campaign structuring, you can always get into the URL expansions, which I just explained. So URL expansion is one of the very impactful features which can help your end users land on the relevant product pages, which can help you gain more conversions or more uh, lead form submissions. You can also use generated assets option available when you come across the ad creation part, wherein you can take the help of Google AI to generate assets for you, be it headlines or description lines. Then you can always deliver greater ad performance with Web to App Connect, and you can also leverage tools for your client's brand suitability goals. So this is something like an add-on to a good campaign structure, which can help you get better performance over time. Now, talking about search themes and audience signals. So as I explained in the previous few slides, search themes is actually a very impactful part of your campaign structure. It helps the backend algorithms understand what kind of uh, themes you want your ads to get triggered for, what kind of searches you want your ads to get triggered for. It tries to expand on the volume, because say you're using a search campaign, you have a keyword, you're selling leather shoes, you have a keyword leather shoes. So system will broaden your search. It will try to target leather shoes. So you're targeting New Jersey as a geography. So leather shoes, New Jersey, or best leather shoes online. So it will start showing your ads for all those searches. However, if say there's a user who might be interested in leather shoes but is currently looking for sneakers, your ad might still trigger if you're using a PMax setup and you have leather shoes added there as a search theme, because it tries to broaden the search volume by getting more and more users who might be interested in the product as well. So that helps you gain more and more conversions. You can also try to provide some unique search themes. So you can add up to 25 search themes to your asset group structure. And in those search themes, you should try to be unique with whatever keywords you're putting in, whatever search themes you're putting in. So for example, if you have sneakers that you're selling online, but then your brand is very widely known for fashion and some great outfits, you can use fashionable sneakers as a search theme as well. So that's how you broaden up on, the searches that you want your ads to get triggered for. Talking about audience signals. So again, audience signals help the system understand what audiences have converted in the past for your product, what could be interested in your product, what age ranges you want to target, or what type of people you want to target, who say you're a broker firm, or you are into real estate business, and you want users who could be first time purchasers for your flats or homes that you're selling. So you can target individuals who are married or who are about to get married, because they're always in the stage of purchasing new places for themselves to stay. So again, audience signals are a very important component of your entire ad structure, because that helps the algorithms to understand the user base that you're currently aiming for. So having said that, I would like to call upon my co-facilitator Vinay to take you with the rest of the presentation. Vinay, over to you.
Thank you, Sashank, for putting up some great context there with respect to Performance Max campaign. Uh, and I'm sure the audience has already got overwhelmed, and we have got great questions around. So we would request you keep them coming. So if you have any questions, as Shashank mentioned earlier, please use the chat platform that we have to ask these questions. And let's quickly now talk about Performance Max, how Performance Max can help you to achieve your marketing objectives, right? Where we have now, earlier we've learned about the best practices around how to set up your Performance Max campaign and what goes into the Performance Max campaign. And let's now talk about how can Performance Max help you achieve your marketing objectives there. Now, let's quickly first talk about the Performance Max for lead generation. Now, when we're talking about lead generation, we are talking about so basically the users who are going to your website, and based on the different types of leads that the form of leads that we have, be it a phone call, be it a form filler, be it user signing up, right? So there are multiple options which you have got in terms of the what is the kind of lead that you want to capture, right? And Performance Max excels towards that, where we are focused on lead generation. Now, when you're talking about when your goal is primarily towards generating uh, using Performance Max, it is a complementary campaign to your existing lead gen campaigns that you already have. So let's say you're running your lead generation campaigns with your search, Google Display, ads, discovery, YouTube form ads, and call extensions that we have. This is an you're complementary to your existing lead gen campaigns. So, and using the search campaigns and Performance Max, the Power Pay combinations will maximize your performance with respect to your lead gen. So, specifically, because now when we are talking about Performance Max in terms of lead gen, it uses your existing data, which is your current data that you already have in your Google Ads account, your first party data, using that as an audience signals to find your existing users and the new users, and in terms of existing users, the labs users who are already from the lead. So you can, when we are, if you have a lead gen campaign, we would always suggest you to have your enhanced conversions in place. So what you can do is using the enhanced conversion, where you have ample amount of data with you, probably where you are able to categorize and at the same time track how the specific lead is forming, right? Based on, if let's say, the for an example, a user is filling a form. Once the form has been filled, is the specific user taking a next action, right? Which is, let's say, in terms of buying a car, let's say if you have a car showroom out there, and you want to track people who are interested in the new launch car that is which is just launched right now, they probably you're running a Performance Max campaign, and the users are filling in the form, and then the next step is probably the users who have filled in the form, they are visiting the showroom, right? That's the secondary action, or probably receiving your phone call once you call them, that based on whatever the car interest that they have shown in. And once that is done, the value of this lead is increasing based on every step that is happening in the business conversation, right? From filling in the form to visiting the showroom and then booking the car, right? These is the, let's say, if it has been divided into 10 different steps, then each step will have its own conversion value, right? You can, in using enhanced conversion, you can track all of these and share your inputs with Performance Max campaign, which will help you find new customers which are also related to the people who have this will also increase the quality of the lead than the quantity of the lead. So with Performance Max, you can always improve the quality of the lead there, and you can do so by unlocking cross channel inventory. While we have you can also, the Performance Max can also help you with meeting your cost per action, and at the same time your return on ad spend goals, if you have any, right? So you can use the cross account bid strategies and drive and broad match in terms of with a mix match of your search and Performance Max. Broad match drive better performance, yeah, and optimizing for conversion across large scales slice of traffic that we have. Now let's quickly talk about how to drive higher quality leads in terms of conversion value rules, right? As I was explaining you how enhanced conversion works, once you have this data, once you have the data available offline, right? Where you're also able to using the enhanced conversion, where we are going extra layer, where with the Google Click ID and GBread, we are able to track that extra information, and which is hashed again. Uh, 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 you know ensuring the user privacy is in place. So what you can do is, once the data is in place, once you've got this information, you offline, and we can import that conversions, and ensuring that your enhanced conversions are turned on. You can go ahead and use the conversion value rules to simply allow to provide additional value information. So for example, let's say, based on the audiences that you indicate, that this is the type of audience that you're tracking using the conversion value rules in your first party segment of set of audiences list. But these are the specific type of audiences who have greater chances of making a conversion, and when they make a conversion, they are contributing a lot to the business. In that case, what you can do is, you can put a value that if someone is from this particular audience list is has a higher chances of making a conversion, and the conversion is on the bringing more value to the business, that they can use that audience list and assign a specific value. So performance max now will know that this is the specific type of audience that you want to prioritize, or try to find the new users based on this type of audiences, that the first party audience that you've selected. And same goes in geolocation. If your business is in specific area, and you know that if there are specific customers coming in from that geolocation, or the users are seeing your ad from that specific location, it add values to your conversions and specific locations and conversion value rules. You can also give additional value to the geolocation as well. And in terms of device as well, again, in terms of a specific device, if you believe that users who are using a specific device have a higher tendencies and adding more value to your business, then you can also use this option to assign more value, and let now that performance max will prioritize that, and at the same time, from apart from the targeting that is already been doing for your business. Right, now let's quickly talk about performance max for store goals. uh, right, where when we're talking about performance max for store goals, performance max can also help you to drive store goals objectives as well. How it does that is, basically, it ensures that based on the targeting, based on the store that it is optimizing to reach the right customer at the right time. So right, based on this is again triggered, the as a triggered based on the user intent, and the distance is also taken into consideration to your business in the local search queries. So for example, if and the device that they're using. So for example, if I'm using trying to search for a restaurant which is near me, then probably based on if you have a restaurant business, and in the local areas that you're very near to that particular person, and at that space specific time that your restaurant is open, right? So based on both these user intent and distance, you will match up, and that's how the performance max can go ahead and show your results, or to show your store at the to the right person at the right time. And also at the same time, use the right message to ensure that the lightweight management implementation is in place, and use the right assets which you have created using your, or which you've uploaded from your end, and at the same time using the right platform to the Google platforms to uh, showcase your store, and at the same time, which helps you provide incremental reach to the new users, and yeah, and the existing campaigns that you have. Now, these are the three key strategies that we would suggest you to have when we are talking about store goals objective in performance max that it can support. Right, maximize the traffic for all the locations that you have. Now, understand that if your business is in multiple locations, always focus on driving more traffic to all the locations, because there is always a scope of improvement in terms of business when we are talking about, because there is always competition, and there is always a maximum number of traffic that we can achieve across different locations, right? And at the same time, we also have to make sure that the specific location, you have to support a specific locations, be it, let's say you've identify a specific location which you know that if uh, advertised more, where it will definitely get more get more traffic in terms of offline traffic towards a specific store. For example, a restaurant which has recently been opened up in a new area, right? And you know that there are more food enthusiasts, probably, let's say, there are a lot of people who are working in the same area, probably living in hotels, right? You can use these specific areas where you can support these specific locations which you've recently launched, or at the same time, if there are specific locations which you feel that they are not really getting more traffic, you can use support that specific locations as well. And in terms of driving store visits through product showcasing, you can also ensure that you're able to showcase the product, the benefits of the products, and at the same time, the uniqueness that the product offers when compared to the competitors. You can also use that and leverage that information to driving store visits there. And you can maximize your store visits across all location by following these things. You can always think of this way, that I need to drive more store visits because offline customers are more valuable to me, right? For example, if that is the case where you're selling your products more offline and at the valuable products you're selling in your store, then in that case, this is one of the definitions, one of the areas where you can focus on. And at the same time, let's say you have your annual sale is coming up. Let's say you know that there are more customers who would be visiting your stores in terms of your annual sale or a specific uh, it's a seasonality based sale, right? And you can, using performance max, you can also focus on getting driving as much as traffic possible to your store. And and in terms of what can I do to drive offline visits and sales in terms of your performance max campaigns, you can also, as I've mentioned earlier, you can use the different options which are available for you to do based on audience signals, where you can go ahead and enhance your reach based on finding new customers as well. Now, let's quickly talk about how Performance Max can help you achieve the online sales here. Now, when we're talking about Performance Max for online sales and specific about sales, we cannot uh, ignore the shopping campaign, right? Because earlier we had shopping campaigns. If you've been associated with Google Ads for a long time now, we know that we also have shopping campaigns, and also with Performance Max campaign also available. Now, earlier we had features. There are few features which are incorporated from Smart Shopping campaign, which you can see here on your screen. And at the same time, Performance Max also helps you with the new features which have been integrated with this campaign type, and it helps you go ahead and get the more control over how you're reaching the audience. And at the same time, as you can see with the inventory as well, where your ads are being placed, you have more options apart from the regular Smart Shopping campaign that you used to have, right? You have dynamic search ads, where you are able to use your final URL expansion. And in terms of discovery ads, you have YouTube in stream, where you can show your ads. And in terms of your offline, where you have maps with your store visit bidding strategy, which is available. And in terms of when we're talking about formats, you have text ads, then you have YouTube in-stream ads, and map pins, which is available for the in terms when we're talking about formats there. And additional to the bidding strategy, which was available, we also have maximize conversion with an optional cost per action, where you can set a target for your targeting target CPA there. And in terms of control and transparency, where you had insights, performance planner, and conversion value rules. You also have your audience signals, where you can use this to find new users, and at the same time new customer based on different types of new users. Again, new user for conversion value, or new user mode only, which we will be discussing in the coming slides as well. So all in all, Performance Max offers you the great add-on to your existing. If you have a search campaign, you always would want to use the Performance Max to extend your inventory, and at the same time get more AI and machine learning to do your job. And then let's quickly talk about the sales based best practices that we have. Now, in terms of promotional timing, right? Because uh, if you're launching a sale, let's say you have a seasonality sale which is going live and you are launching the sale, be prepared for the sale. As you know, as I've mentioned earlier, that Performance Max campaign is an AI driven and at the same time machine learning based campaign. So what you input, what are the inputs that you give, that's how the Performance Max campaign is now going to optimize your campaign, right? And when I say about your inputs, I'm talking about your first party data that you're sharing with the Performance Max campaign. So ensure that you're starting this campaign 2 to 3 weeks advance, and at the same time utilizing the asset groups, the automated rules to schedule your assets at asset groups or assets, right? If required, you can we would suggest you to do as minimal changes as possible to your existing Performance Max campaign. And at the same time, if you really want to test out the creatives, you can always use the A and B experiment that we have to go ahead and optimize your campaigns, right? And at the same time, let's say if you really want to test out the different creatives, you can also create a different campaign and use a 50% of a budget split, so you can see how your budget based on the potential of that particular asset, and then later incorporate that asset in your existing evergreen asset group that you have. But having that said, we would always encourage you not to do many changes at the same time. Now, so in terms of your short-term flash sales, you can, as I've mentioned, in terms of seasonality, ensure that you're starting little prior to your campaign, to the season that is coming ahead, and you can always use Performance Planner to plan your campaign as well. Now, prioritize, as I've mentioning in terms of visual assets. If you're based on your goal, your assets should also be talking about that. For example, let's say if I'm talking about lead or filling up a form, right? My assets should also be talking about uniqueness about my business, and at the same time, how I can reach out to this business by filling up a form, right? So you can always prioritize the visual assets, how your creatives, how your assets are trying to connect with that user, which is very crucial and very important aspect when we're talking about this. And you can run your Performance Max campaign with parallel to your search keyword campaigns, which we believe and which we always recommend, that this is a power your Power Max, Performance Max campaign and search campaign are power pair. And you can Performance Max can help you expand the additional reach with the extended inventory options that it has got. And search campaigns can always help you track and at the same time target the intended audience there. And at the same time, Performance Max can help you achieve this at the lower ROI as well. Now, let's quickly talk about how you can driving online sales by you can use when you're creating a Performance Max campaign. You ideally get two options. Either you can select the first option, which is bidding higher for new customers than your existing customers. When we're talking about existing customers, we're talking about the elapsed users who have probably made a conversion, and you want to retarget these people, right? So this is usually recommended always when we are talking about online sales and at the same time retail businesses, because we are able to target new customers and at the same time focus on the existing customers that we had in our pocket, right? So in terms of the other option which is available, which is only bid for new customers, this is specifically when, let's say, you have uh, a lead gen goal, right, where you do not want people who have already filled in your form and to fill in this form again, right? In this case, probably if it is a lead gen based campaign that you're creating, so you can ideally go with bid for new customers only. However, in terms of online sales, we would always recommend you to optimize your campaign for acquiring new customers and at the same time using the option which is recommended here on your screen. Now, there are three ways to leverage your new customer acquisition and to achieve your client goals that you have, which is the first option that you're seeing here is new customer value mode. We are able to bid higher for the new customers than the existing customers. And then the next we have currently in beta, where with high value optimization mode, we you can target new customers and using the enhanced conversion which I mentioned earlier. Using the enhanced conversion which I've mentioned earlier, you can go ahead and optimize using this mode and target these new customers who can bring in more value to your business. And then we have a new customer only mode where we are focused on acquiring new customers, and this is more focused towards driving more conversions. So based on your goal, based on where your business is, and based on the business needs, you can select accordingly. And you can identify, Google identifies your customers based on your data and our signals that we have. So if your goal is towards, uh, both in terms of using new customer value mode and new customer high value mode, we would always recommend you to go with customer list, where you're using your customer match list, where you're able to share your existing data, consumer data, providing the list to the Google, and it can then accordingly find the users who are more likely to, who are existing to, similar to your existing users, who have already made a conversions, and find new users who can add on more value or high value to your business. However, if your goal is towards acquiring new customer value mode or new customers only mode, where you can use auto detection, where we are, in terms of, you can use the Google algorithm. Basically what it does is how Google detects the returning user is based on the 540 look back window that we have. Right, it will always look back to your existing data that you have in your first party list. If your remarketing list has been set up to store the cookie for 540 days, it can go ahead and look back to that level and share insights that if this is a returning user or a new user. Right now, and at the same time, where you can also utilize the global site tag to improve matching your new customers by, again, using your own new definition that you need to identify that. Now let's quickly talk about Performance Max for report. What are the reporting and insights which are available in Performance Max? So as I've mentioned, that Performance Max is an AI based campaign. So what the data that you give in, uh, and and what you get out, right, that is what exactly how, that's how the campaign is going to optimize, and that is what it is you are going to get out of the results that you have shared. So it is an, as I've mentioned, it is an automation AI based campaign. So always make sure that you're giving the best data in terms of your first party that you're selecting, and accordingly using it to achieve your conversion goals, either be it conversion goals or conversion values, and at the same time accordingly use your assets, bids, budgets, audience signals, and more that you have options with Performance Max campaign here. Now speak to quickly how to track this data, how to get more insights around this data. As you can see here on the screen, that as you can see that Performance Max helps you bring new data, new insights, and optimizing your legacy work. Right, you can understand the fluctuations in the Performance Max campaign. You can run your daily auctions insights reports to identify if there are any performance shifts, or you can manually review the change history report as well to check if there are any performance shifts there. And you can also use the troubleshooting performance issues to manually review your Performance Max campaign and see if there are any bids and budget level issues, or if there is any specific policy level issues that are falling in place. Right, and at the same time you can also monitor your creative performance, and you can pair this with the creative audience reports that you have, where it will show you how, based on the columns that you are adding, it will show you how your creating creatives are performing, and accordingly you can take a call towards optimizing it. If you, again, if it has been 2 to 3 weeks after introducing this creative, yet you see do not see much performance, or you see very negative performance towards the creative, you can always consider replacing it with a better creative there. And you can also understand your competitive landscape, and you can understand your customers using exporting this data. You can also understand how you're able to grow the business. uh, as I've mentioned earlier, you can these are legacy actions in terms of that you can take. You can also use the same level. So these are the on the right hand side that you see, these are the level, the report names which are available in your Performance Max campaign, which you can use to uh, accordingly troubleshoot these issues or understand what is going on. So In terms of fluctuations, you can use performance shift and change history insights there. In terms of troubleshooting, you can use diagnostics insights. In terms of your asset creative performance, you can use your asset audience insights, auction insights according to your competitive landscape, right? And in terms of understanding your customers, you can use the audience persona insights and search term insights report, which is available. And to grow your business, and at the same time, you can also use the search trends and demand forecast, which will help you understand how the marketing is shaping up. Now let's quickly go through the rest of the slides here. We can also talk about explanation and the campaign fluctuations, which you can see as I was talking earlier, where you can see the overall the outranking share, and in terms of how the segments have been created. As you can see here on the screen, you can incorporate the same values, and you can also use this to analyze your data. And you can prioritize, as I've mentioned, you can prioritize your customer match and dynamic remarketing list always. So you can use this to have a better audience signals, in terms of, right, you can make sure that you're adding your dynamic remarketing and customer match list in term to your audience signals, so that it is usually recommended to users who are, let's say, the past buyers in your business. You can also use that to who are likely to make a conversion again to your business. You can use this to leverage on that data. When we're talking about audience value rules, these are the if the users are already in the market and running apparel, then you can multiply the value by 1.5, so that you're able to target these customers using the automated bidding towards the customers. These are the specific customers who are valuing the most for your business, right? And at the same time, when we are talking about new customer acquisition goal, where we are talking about new customers who, let's say, there are you're spending $30 more than they are getting more $30 more than the existing customers that you have, right? So you can use that use the unique insights that are available to provide more or less define what how do you want to bid towards the customers here. And you can use the brand safety and suitability controls that we have, as you can see here on the screen, where you have inventory modes at the account level. You can use content exclusions, different content in labels that you can have the account level. In terms of your keyword exclusions, you have which is again with YouTube and Google display network, with your Google display ads here. You can use it at the account level. And you have brand exclusions on the not exactly keyword, but you have brand exclusions which is available at the campaign level. What you can do is, instead of typing a specific multiple keywords, brand keywords, you can just exclude a brand, and it will help you there. And you can also uh, in terms of exclusions, you have cross property campaign level negatives that you can use that in place as well. Now, in terms of topic exclusions, which is available, as you can see here on the screen, on your account level, evolve topics here, right? Yeah, and you have placement exclusions and as the limit, which is updated here, as you can see, and you have categories here. Now let's quickly talk about the feed optimizations that we have in place. How if you have a Google Merchant Center account and you're using it to retail businesses, how we can use Performance Max to optimize your feed here. Now, when we're talking about your shopping funnel or your Performance Max campaign with the shopping feed funnel, now think of your feed funnel or as a funnel itself, right? Like the marketing funnel that we have. We would always want our total products to serve and get maximum conversions that we can get, right? But however, out of the total products, let's say I have 100 products. Out of the 100 products, there are chances that out of in 90 or 95 of the products would get approved, or there would be certain policy issues that we have encountered in the rest of the other five. And out of those approved products that we have, based on the past sale that we have, there might be few products which might be out of stock as well. Again, we have to make sure that all of the stocks are in place. And we would out of all the stocks which are in place, which are the products which are in stock, we would go ahead and then target a very few stocks. Let's say we are targeting, let's say, 65 of the stocks out of 100 that we have. And out of the targeting that we have done, the impressions that we are getting and the clicks that we're getting will again be minimized. That's how the funnel, the shopping funnel can be categorized, right? Where the PMax campaign as a funnel itself. So ensure these are the best practices that we have listed down here. So make sure that you're always prioritizing your bestseller SKUs and using the primary feed to ensure that we have all of these bestsellers are always approved and available on your website and the feed. So always improvise on your feed approval rate. Make sure it is you're able to minimize as much as possible, so that you're also taking care of disapprovals and warnings. You ensure your SKUs are also again 100% in stock. Also ensure that your SKUs are 100% targeted, so that you are able to maximize. And at the same time, so based on, we earlier in our slides we spoke about impulse buying, right? So you can always get a better out of that. And you're always able to optimize on your product titles, improvise on your product price competitiveness, and use this as a leverage ad annotations that you have. So you can always use this as a bi-weekly or weekly information that you can always set up a call, and you can always make sure that your merchant center account has been optimized in the best possible way. And to get a, I understand if you're working towards multiple merchant center accounts, it might be a hard task to manage all of these merchant center accounts at once. So what you can do is you can quickly get a glance of how is your merchant center doing, in terms of, you can, when you log into your Google Merchant Center account, you have diagnostics tabs where you have all your issues being highlighted, and at the same time the active items that you have. So as you can see, you can always get a quick glance on the expiring items, if you have any product in terms of disapproved items, that if there are any, so you can always prioritize your scaling accordingly. And also make sure, as I've mentioned earlier, make sure that you are using the Google Merchant Center's feed for dynamic remarketing. It is specifically important when you're using for shopping performances. You can import that to performance at scale, and you're always in the bestsellers stocks, and at the same time all the products are in stocks. So now quickly looking at the high quality of the ad, this is how the best quality ad would look like, where you are able to showcase the high quality image of the product, and at the same time using the title includes which your gender, product type, and the color. And in terms of you can add as much as relevant information possible. As you know, we have 5,000 character limit in terms of when you're adding a description there. So you can add relevant keywords and info from your landing page, so make it as relevant as possible. And at the same time you can add more information related to your product there. And at the same time you make sure that you have accurate pricing listed, including your tax, shipping, so that whenever the user is seeing exactly what he is paying for, then going on the website, then finding what is the exact value that they are paying, it is always best to have best practices around, and having the shipping and tax prices available there. And the reviews are the game changer when we're talking about shopping online. So make sure your ratings and reviews are always available for the users. And the these we have curated some practices. So you can probably take a screenshot of this based on the different category of the products that we have, be it apparel, consumable, electronics, seasonal, and books. How do we go ahead and categorize your title of the particular product, right? You can, as you can see, first we type in our brand, then we add in gender, product type, attributes, right? So we also have highlighted examples here, as you can see in the first option, where we have brand, which is and tailors, then we have women's sweater, black, and size 6, right? So we are using our brand, then gender, and at the same time product type, and then the attributes as well. So you can use this, probably take a screenshot, and whenever you're going ahead and optimizing or restructuring your feed, you can always use this best practices there. You can based on your product type, generic terms, this will helps. We've seen that this has helped driving more impressions and improve the CTR, more importantly. And at the same time it has also helped in terms of the keyword generation, and where your You can also use to scale on search. You can use these best practices which are listed, and to scale on shopping, which we have already listed there. So hope you had a great session, and the great takeaways here, which will definitely help you to use Performance Max campaign now in a much better way. And thank you so much for being a great audience and asking as many questions as possible. Thank you so much. Have a great day.